When you watch those huge military parades in North Korea, you've probably seen her. There's this young woman, a slight, almost unreadable smile on her face, always standing near the heart of the action. Well, she's not just some bystander. That's Kim Yo Jong, and a lot of experts believe she holds an absolutely terrifying amount of power. So, you have these two totally different pictures of her. On one hand, the world first knew her as the smiling diplomat. The helpful younger sister, always there for her brother, the supreme leader. But on the other hand, intelligence experts, defectors, they've given her a much, much darker title, the Iron Fist of Pyongyang. And yeah, maybe even the most dangerous woman in the world. And that contrast right there is the whole mystery. So the big question we're tackling today is this. How on earth did Kim Jong Un's quiet younger sister build a reputation so fierce that it literally sends chills down the spines of world leaders?
Okay, so to get it, first you gotta understand the family tree. Kim Yo Jong is the youngest daughter of the former dictator Kim Jong Il. She has two older brothers. One of them, Kim Jong Chol, is apparently more into music than politics, and the other, of course, is the current supreme leader Kim Jong Un. This makes her his one and only full sister.
But her story doesn't start on the world stage, not even close. To really get a handle on her rise, we have to go way back to her childhood as an invisible princess. It was this super isolated, tightly controlled upbringing that forged this unbreakable bond with her brother, the future dictator. Her actual birth year, well, that's a state secret, but we know she grew up in this crazy lavish private compound, completely hidden from everyone. Then, in 1996, she gets sent off to a public school in Switzerland using the fake name Park Mi-hung. Her brother, Kim Jong Un, joined her soon after using his own alias. They lived in a normal apartment, but it was crawling with North Korean officials and undercover guards 24/7. When she got back home in 2000, she was a ghost again. Until 2011. Suddenly, bam, she's seen standing right next to her brother at their father's funeral. For anyone paying attention, that was the signal she was in.
So getting into that inner circle was just the beginning. For years, the world totally underestimated her. They just saw an assistant, holding an ashtray or some papers for her brother. But behind the scenes, she wasn't just assisting. She was basically the architect of his entire public image. And she was building her own massive power base at the same time.
And her climb was no accident. It was totally calculated. In 2012, when she was just 23, she's made tour manager. Sounds small, but it gave her total control over her brother's security and travel. Then, by 2014, she gets an official title, Vice Director of the Propaganda and Agitation Department. That's the regime's whole media machine. But within a year, she was the real boss, carefully shaping her brother's image to look just like their godlike grandfather, Kim Il-sung. And way before she was a household name, the big world powers were already taking notice. The United States put her on its sanctions list back in 2017. They didn't see an assistant. They saw a key player in the regime's human rights abuses and censorship machine.
And then came her big debut. At the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea, she launched this amazing charm offensive. All smiles, shaking hands, presenting this really soft, friendly face for North Korea. But now, experts look back at that and see it for what it was. A brilliant, masterful piece of propaganda designed to get the world to let its guard down.
After that, she kind of went quiet for a while. Seemed like she might have been pushed to the side. But then a crisis hit that would finally let the world hear her true voice. And it was not the voice of a diplomat. It was pure, unfiltered aggression. So, picture it. April 2020. Kim Jong Un just disappears from public view, and the rumors are flying everywhere. Is he sick? Did he die? For weeks, it looked like there was a huge power vacuum in Pyongyang, and the entire world was holding its breath. And right into that silence, this voice just erupts like thunder. For the first time ever, North Korean state media releases a statement in Kim Yo Jong's own name. She didn't offer any comfort. Instead, she just viciously tore into South Korea, calling it a barking dog shaking with fear. The message couldn't have been clearer. If my brother's gone, I'm ready to take over. That one statement changed her image forever. When Kim Jong Un finally showed up again, was his sister punished? Nope. She was reinstated to the super powerful Politburo. It was proof she was no longer just an advisor. She was the regime's undisputed Iron Lady. And her reputation is built on a lot more than just words. Defectors and intelligence reports connect her to some of the regime's most brutal acts. She's said to have masterminded the execution of her own uncle in 2013.
She's been implicated in the assassination of her half-brother in 2017. And in 2020, she personally ordered the destruction of a liaison office, a symbol of peace with the South. There are even reports she orders officials to be executed for the tiniest signs of disrespect.
And she doesn't save her venom just for internal enemies. Her diplomatic style is, well, it's something else. In 2023, she publicly called the President of the United States, Joe Biden, an old man with no future. And she's been even meaner to her neighbors. At one point, she called the President of South Korea America's hungry dog. I mean, this is language that's even more aggressive than her brother's, and it shows she's more than willing to crank up the tension herself. So, this trail of ruthless power-grabbing and aggressive talk all leads to the biggest question of all. Is she just a powerful voice, or is she being groomed to be North Korea's next supreme leader? Well, today, there's really no doubt about it. She is the de facto #2 leader in North Korea. She's a member of the State Affairs Commission. That's the highest decision-making body in the entire country, sitting right there next to her brother.
And this really shows you her official power. In just the last few years, she's issued over 40 official state proclamations under her own name. That job, being the nation's mouthpiece on foreign policy, that used to belong only to the supreme leader himself. Now, she speaks for the whole country.
You know, history has definitely had some ruthless female rulers. In 7th century China, you had Empress Wu Zetian, who allegedly got rid of her own kids to secure her throne. In 16th century England, Queen Mary Tudor burned hundreds of people at the stake, earning the name Bloody Mary.
But there is one absolutely terrifying difference that makes Kim Yo Jong unique in all of history. For all their cruelty, those past rulers never had access to weapons of mass destruction. Kim Yo Jong does. Her ruthlessness comes with a nuclear arsenal.
And her path to the top is pretty much set. High-profile defectors, including a top diplomat, have confirmed it. If Kim Jong Un were to die suddenly, the plan is already in place. Kim Yo Jong is the designated heir. Her brother's kids are way too young to rule, which leaves her as the only logical and prepared choice.
So, we've kind of come full circle. The world used to write her off as this quiet supporter, just a shadow behind her brother. Now the question isn't if she's dangerous. I think that's been settled. The real question is, what will the world look like when, not if, she finally takes supreme command?
And that really leaves us with this one last chilling thought. Is the world prepared to face a nuclear-armed dictator who has consistently shown she might be even more impulsive, more aggressive, and more